All right. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you might be in time and space, to all my brothers and sisters across the pond in the UK. So I was looking to find out what searches under Microsoft Flight Simulator are coming up. And it seems people are doing a lot of searches for London. And I wanted to get some helicopter practice in. I've been having a heck of a time. But I thought I would do London. And so I went and downloaded the world update. And then I spent like the last hour, I didn't think it would take that long, trying to download high resolution maps. But even with the highest resolution maps and photogrammetry on, some areas of London look fantastic. Some buildings, not so much. You know? But not as bad as some of them were looking earlier. So, and I've been doing things like turning photogrammetry on and off, and trying out other things that they recommend to try to make it look a little bit better. So that's what we're doing. Let me show you Bushtalk Radio if you've never seen it before. I think you'll like this a lot. Very popular, and it's becoming very, very popular, and they have a subscription now, which is unfortunate. I wish they wouldn't have done that, because now they may end up limiting people, and other people are doing something very similar. And who knows, they might even include some of this stuff in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, the tour stuff. Okay, so we're down here. That's me. Okay, and how it works is when you fly within a mile of something, like this little bridge right in front of us, okay, which is the Battersea Railway Bridge across the River Thames in London, between Battersea and Fulham. I was enamored with history growing up, but mostly the fantasy aspect of things, like, you know, Knights of the Round Table and things of that nature. So I just have such a, I don't know, I want to say love, a fascination with the UK, and I just love you people. You people. But I do. I really, really do. You know, there's good and bad people everywhere, right? But on this planet, say you're some pretty awesome people. So here's how it works. You can play one without being right over it. But let's move towards it. Let me demonstrate a little bit how this works. Keep remembering my friend's advice. He's like, you're doing everything too fast. That's your problem. You want to fly like they do in Magnum PI. You just want to get up and go. And it's like, you got to just learn how to take it easy first. So, little baby steps, all right? So, that's what I'm trying to do here. Just little corrections. Little bits of input. This took me half a day to figure out. I'm not sure what it is with the helicopter controls as far as getting the throttle and the collective to work together properly. Everybody's like, bind them both the same, and I bound them both the same and tried things all day, and they just didn't want to work. And then I unbound them, tried it again, and I'm mostly, I think everything's mostly working fine now. Okay, let's come down a little bit more. So we're inching our way over there. I'll speed up here in a minute. So I'm going to hit up some of these landmarks and move us around, and there's a couple not on the map that I would like to find. I'd like to find Abbey Road. I found it on the map already, but haven't gotten over there. Okay. One more down on the, Okay. We should trigger it with that. We're within a mile. Make sure that we are active. We're right there. Unless I've changed my settings somehow and it's further out now. Distance. Trigger distance.
Hyde Park is a Grade I listed major park in central London. It is the largest of 4 royal parks that form a chain from the entrance of Kensington Palace through Kensington Gardens and Hyde Park, via Hyde Park Corner and Green Park past the main entrance to Buckingham Palace.
Well.
The park is divided by the Serpentine and the Long Water Lakes. The park was established by Henry VIII in 1536 when he took the land from Westminster Abbey and used it as a hunting ground. It opened to the public in 1637 and quickly became popular, particularly for May Day parades. Major improvements occurred in the early 18th century under the direction of Queen Caroline. Several duels took place in Hyde Park during this time, often involving members of the nobility. The Great Exhibition of 1851 was held in the park, for which the Crystal Palace, designed by Joseph Paxton, was erected. Free speech and demonstrations have been a key feature of Hyde Park since the 19th century. Speaker's Corner has been established as a point of free speech and debate since 1872, while the Chartists, the Reform League, the Suffragettes, and the Stop the War Coalition have all held protests there. In the late 20th century, the park was known for holding
I'm not sure why it jumped to Hyde Park. I mean, that's way over here. Oh well. Let's just click it and play this.
The Battersea Railway Bridge is a bridge across the River Thames in London, between Battersea and Fulham. Owned by Network Rail Infrastructure Limited, it connects to the extreme northeast part of Fulham, known as Chelsea Harbour or Imperial Wharf, a 21st century rebuilt area on the south side of a Chelsea Creek. The bridge is used by the West London line of the London Overground from Clapham Junction to Willesden Junction. The bridge was designed by William Baker, chief engineer of the London and North Western Railway, and was opened on the 2nd of March 1863 at a cost of £87,000. It carries 2 tracks and consists of 5 120-foot lattice girder arches set on stone piers.
While we're out here, and I realize that we're over water, let me change my graphics a bit, make sure the buildings and everything are on high and ultra. But the water, I don't know that we need the waves. We'll go ahead and make the water look as good as we can. And also on traffic, we got good road traffic. But considering we got the Thames down here, let me go ahead and turn on all the leisure boats. So maybe we'll get some populating in. Maybe we won't. I don't know. So if we spin our view back this way. Pardon the drone. I don't know what it is, and it's never been fixed, but the drone just kind of rotates on its own over time. It just kind of starts doing this. So every now and then you'll just notice me making a correction to counter it. I have no idea why. All right, so the next bridge to see up ahead here. Well, let's do this. We look in, it's a couple streets back. Stamford Bridge is a football stadium.
Stamford Bridge is a football stadium in Fulham, adjacent to the borough of Chelsea in southwest London, commonly referred to as the Bridge. It is the home of Premier League club Chelsea. The capacity of the stadium is 40,834, making it the 9th largest venue of the 2019 Premier League season. The club had plans to expand capacity to 60,000 by the 2023 season. Opened in 1877, the stadium was used by the London Athletic Club until 1905, when new owner Gus Mears founded Chelsea Football Club to occupy the ground. Chelsea have played their home games there ever since. It has undergone major changes over the years, most recently in the 1990s when it was renovated into a modern, all-seater stadium. Stamford Bridge has been a venue for England international matches, FA Cup finals, FA Cup semi-finals and Charity Shield games. It has also hosted numerous other sports, such as cricket, rugby union, speedway, greyhound racing, baseball and American football. The stadium's highest official attendance is 82,905 for a league match between Chelsea and Arsenal on the 12th of October 1935.
It is going to be interesting when the VTOL aircraft come out. Helicopters, they're really cool. I'm liking them. I'm starting to get the hang of them. But after seeing what's coming, I can't wait. The closest thing I have to what's coming for general aviation here in the future is an F-35B. The same technology that is an F-35B as far as the vertical takeoff and landing technology, that's all coming to general aviation really soon. So here I am, the point I'm trying to make is, I'm over here struggling to, you know, dial in my altitude, get right over where I need to be. So it seems easier in a helicopter to do these things, but yeah. So in the F-35, it'd be pretty easy to fly right in here, get where you need to go. Again, with more time, I'm sure, you know, I'll be able to do it. But boy, this new stuff that's coming. Wow. It's going to be so easy to fly with precision anywhere. So why did Elvis Costello not want to come here? He was so sad in the 70s about not wanting to come to Chelsea. You know that song, I Don't Want to Go to Chelsea. So what's the big deal? They beat up his football team? You know what I mean? Like that building right there. Looks like it's been blown up. I can't wait for 2024 to see if they have improved the photogrammetry and all that. You know, though it is a, you know, up to this point where like everybody's been saying, well, it is a flight simulator, so, you know, things aren't supposed to look amazing. And that was the excuse, but now with the, again, helicopters and air balloons, the VTOLs that are coming, the need to make the ground look even better is here. Thought this bridge was on the map too. No, I don't want that. Yeah, so we're over a bridge that's on the map. And I'm right on the pin. Come on. Let me turn off. There we go.
Battersea Bridge is a 5-span arch bridge with cast iron girders and granite piers crossing the River Thames in London, England. It is situated on a sharp bend in the river and links Battersea south of the river with Chelsea to the north. The bridge replaced a ferry service that had operated near the site since at least the middle of the 16th century. The first Battersea Bridge was a toll bridge commissioned by John, Earl Spencer, who had recently acquired the rights to operate the ferry. Although a stone bridge was planned, difficulties in raising investment meant that a cheaper wooden bridge was built instead. Designed by Henry Holland, it was initially opened to pedestrians in November 1771 and to vehicle traffic in 1772. The bridge was inadequately designed and dangerous both to its users and to passing shipping, and boats often collided with it.
Oh my.
To reduce the dangers to shipping, 2 piers were removed and the sections of the bridge above them were strengthened with iron girders. Although dangerous and unpopular, the bridge was the last surviving wooden bridge on the Thames in London, and was the subject of paintings by many significant artists such as J.M.W. Turner, John Sell Cotman and James McNeill Whistler, including Whistler's Nocturne, Blue and Gold, Old Battersea Bridge, and his controversial Nocturne in black and gold, The Falling Rocket. In 1879 the bridge was taken into public ownership, and in 1885 demolished and replaced with the existing bridge, designed by Sir Joseph Bazalgette and built by John Moeller.
Bazalgette.
The narrowest surviving road bridge over the Thames in London, it is one of London's least busy Thames bridges. The location on a bend in the river makes the bridge a hazard to shipping, and it has been closed many times due to collisions.
Yikes.
Albert Bridge is a road bridge over the tideway of the River Thames connecting Chelsea in central London on the north, left bank to Battersea on the south. Designed and built by Roland Mason Ordish in 1873 as an Ordish-Lefra system modified cable-stayed bridge, it proved to be structurally unsound, so between 1884 and 1887 Sir Joseph Bazalgette incorporated some of the design elements.
Bazalgette again.
In 1973 the Greater London Council added 2 concrete piers, which transformed the central span into a simple beam bridge. As a result, today the bridge is an unusual hybrid of 3 different design styles. It is an English Heritage Grade II listed building. Built as a toll bridge by Geoffrey Marks, it was commercially unsuccessful. Ownership was incorrectly contested by David Jacobs. The Times of London called Mr. Jacobs' ownership claim false, ludicrous and demonstrably untrue. 6 years after its opening it was taken into public ownership and the tolls were lifted. The toll booths remained in place and are the only surviving examples of bridge toll booths in London. Nicknamed the Trembling Lady because of its tendency to vibrate when large numbers of people walked over it, the bridge has signs at its entrances that warn troops to break step whilst crossing the bridge. Incorporating a roadway only 27 feet wide, and with serious structural weaknesses, the bridge was ill-equipped to cope with the advent of the motor vehicle during the 20th century. Despite many calls for its demolition or pedestrianisation, Albert Bridge has remained open to vehicles throughout its existence, other than for brief spells during repairs. It is one of only 2 Thames Road bridges in central London never to have been replaced. The strengthening work carried out by Bazalgette and the Greater London Council did not prevent further deterioration of the bridge's structure. A series of increasingly strict traffic control measures have been introduced to limit its use and thus prolong its life. As a result, it is the second least busy Thames Road bridge in London, only Southwark Bridge carries less traffic. In 1992, Albert Bridge was rewired and painted in an unusual colour scheme designed to make it more conspicuous in poor visibility and avoid being damaged by ships. At night it is illuminated by 4,000 LEDs, adding to its status as a landmark.
Oh. Well, let's see. It doesn't look like LEDs, but it's lit. Maybe. Well, maybe I was expecting colors or something. But awfully pretty. All right. They've got us flying on the same side that you folks drive on.
St. George Wharf Tower, also known as the Vauxhall Tower, is a residential skyscraper in Vauxhall, London, and part of the St. George Wharf development. At 181 metres tall with 50 stories, it is the 8th tallest building in London and the tallest residential building in the United Kingdom. The tower's floor plan design is based on the shape of a Catherine wheel and is typically divided into 5 apartments per floor with separating walls radiating out from the central core. Sky Gardens provide residents with a semi-external space stepped forward from the pure circular plan, creating steps in the facade that accentuate the building's height and provide variety and interest in the detailing of the otherwise minimal cladding. The building is divided into 3 distinct parts: a base that houses the communal facilities of the building including a lobby, business lounge, gym, spa and swimming pool, a middle section containing most of the apartments, and an upper section where the facade reduces in diameter to provide 360-degree terraces and a wind turbine that tops the structure. Special stairs for the luxury lower penthouse apartments are supplied. These apartments and stairs are a mirror of each other. In one of these apartments there is a 360-degree view across London. The highest swimming pool in the city is located in this apartment. On the 16th of January 2013, at approximately 8 a.m., 2 people were killed when an Augusta Westland AW109 helicopter struck a construction crane attached to the near-complete building and then crashed onto Wandsworth Road, hitting 2 cars and igniting 2 nearby buildings. One of those killed was the pilot, who was flying alone, the other was a pedestrian. The crane was seriously damaged in the incident, but its operator was late for work so was not in the cab at the time of the collision.
I don't know what it was playing. That's not these 2 bridges that we're over right now. We're off somehow. It was talking about the tallest building, but I didn't see it. I don't know which building it was referring to. This looks like, oh, this is a railroad.
Lambeth Bridge is a road traffic and footbridge crossing the River Thames in an east-west direction in central London. The river flows north at the crossing point. Downstream, the next bridge is Westminster Bridge. Upstream, the next bridge is Vauxhall Bridge. The most conspicuous colour in the bridge's paint scheme is red, the same colour as the leather benches in the House of Lords, which is at the southern end of the Palace of Westminster nearest the bridge. This is in contrast to Westminster Bridge, which is predominantly green, the same colour as the benches in the House of Commons at the northern end of the Houses of Parliament. On the east side, in Lambeth, are Lambeth Palace, the Albert Embankment, St Thomas Hospital, and the International Maritime Organisation. On the west side, in Westminster, are Thames House, behind which is Horseferry House, and Cleland House and Abel House, and the Millbank Tower and Tate Britain. The Palace of Westminster is a short walk downstream to the north through the Victoria Tower Garden.
So I've got it set to like 2 miles. So the tower up ahead, that's the tower they were talking about. Over here, the St. George's Wharf Tower. So that was the Grosvenor Bridge.
Grosvenor Bridge,
Grosvenor?
known as, and alternatively called
That's a silent.
Railway Bridge, is a railway bridge over the River Thames in London, between Vauxhall Bridge and Chelsea Bridge. Originally constructed in 1860, and widened in 1865 and 1907, the bridge was extensively rebuilt and widened again in the 1960s as an array of 10 parallel bridges. The original bridge was constructed in the mid-19th century in 2 stages. The first bridge was built by the Victoria Station and Pimlico Railway between 1859 and 1860 at a cost of £84,000 to carry 2 tracks into Victoria Station. It was the first railway bridge across the Thames in central London. The engineer was Sir John Fowler.
Oops.
Chelsea Bridge is a bridge over the River Thames in West London, connecting Chelsea on the north bank to Battersea on the south bank. There have been 2 Chelsea bridges on the site of what was an ancient ford. The first Chelsea Bridge was proposed in the 1840s as part of a major development of marshlands on the south bank of the Thames into the new Battersea Park. It was a suspension bridge intended to provide convenient access from the densely populated north bank to the new park. Although built and operated by the government, tolls were charged initially in an effort to recoup the cost of the bridge. Work on the nearby Chelsea embankment delayed construction, and so the bridge, initially called Victoria Bridge, did not open until 1858. Although well received architecturally, as a toll bridge it was unpopular with the public, and Parliament felt obliged to make it toll-free on Sundays. The bridge was less of a commercial success than had been anticipated, partly because of competition from the newly built Albert Bridge nearby. It was acquired by the Metropolitan Board of Works in 1877, and the tolls were abolished in 1879. The bridge was narrow and structurally unsound, leading the authorities to rename it Chelsea Bridge to avoid the royal family's association with a potential collapse. In 1926 it was proposed that the old bridge be rebuilt or replaced, due to the increased volume of users from population growth, and the introduction of the automobile. It was demolished during 1934 to 1937, and replaced by the current structure, which opened in 1937. The new bridge was the first self-anchored suspension bridge in Britain, and was built entirely with materials sourced from within the British Empire. During the early 1950s it became popular with motorcyclists, who staged regular races across the bridge. One such meeting in 1970 erupted into violence, resulting in the death of 1 man and the imprisonment of 20 others.
Lord.
The Chelsea Bridge is floodlit from below during the hours of darkness, when the towers and cables are illuminated by 936 feet of light-emitting diodes. In 2008 it achieved Grade 2 listed status. In 2004 a smaller bridge, Battersea Footbridge, was opened beneath the southern span, carrying the Thames path beneath the main bridge.
So right here up ahead we have it looks like it's a park on the map. It's a very interesting looking building there.
The Oval, known for sponsorship reasons as the Kia Oval, is an international cricket ground in Kennington, in the London Borough of Lambeth, in South London. The Oval has been the home ground of Surrey County Cricket Club since it was opened in 1945. It was the first ground in England to host international Test cricket in September 1880. The final Test match of the English season is traditionally played there. In addition to cricket, the Oval has hosted a number of other historically significant sporting events. In 1870, it staged England's first international football match, versus Scotland. It hosted the first FA Cup final in 1872, as well as those in 1874 and 1892. In 1876, it held both the England versus Wales and England versus Scotland rugby international matches and, in 1877, rugby's first varsity match. It also hosted the final of the 2017 ICC Champions Trophy.
Is this? No, they're saying this is the Oval. No, over here. Far more befitting of a place to play some rugby. Look at those buildings. So right across the street from here, it says there is Vauxhall Park.
Vauxhall Park is a Green Flag Award-winning municipal park in Vauxhall, South London, run by Lambeth Council. It occupies an 8.5-acre site and was created at a cost of around £45,000, following a public campaign led by the suffragist Millicent Fawcett, the social reformer Octavia Hill and members of the Curl Society. The land was purchased from a local developer under the Vauxhall Park Act 1888 and the houses of Lawn Terrace demolished accordingly. The new park was formally opened in 1890 by the Prince of Wales. One of Edgar Wilson's model villages is located in the park, others are located in Brockwell Park and Fitzroy Gardens in Melbourne. The model village was restored and reopened by the then MP Kate Hoey in 2001. The park is famous for its lavender garden, located on the former bowling green, and annual lavender harvest. Lambeth Council undertook a major renovation of the park in 2020. The facilities in the park include a children's playground, a 1 o'clock club, a nursery, a multi-use games area, 2 tennis courts, chess tables, a park cafe, and 2 fenced dog areas. There is an active Friends of Vauxhall Park, established in 1999.
Is the Vauxhall Bridge.
Vauxhall Bridge is a Grade II listed steel and granite deck arch bridge in central London. It crosses the River Thames in a southeast-northwest direction between Vauxhall on the south bank and Pimlico on the north bank. Opened in 1906, it replaced an earlier bridge, originally known as Regent Bridge but later renamed Vauxhall Bridge, built between 1809 and 1816 as part of a scheme for redeveloping the south bank of the Thames. The original bridge was built on the site of a former ferry. The building of both bridges was problematic, with both the first and second bridges requiring several redesigns from multiple architects. The original bridge, the first iron bridge over the Thames, was built by a private company and operated as a toll bridge before being taken into public ownership in 1879. The second bridge, which took 8 years to build, was the first in London to carry trams and later one of the first 2 roads in London to have a bus lane. In 1963 it was proposed to replace the bridge with a modern development containing 7 floors of shops, office space, hotel rooms and leisure facilities supported above the river, but the plans were abandoned because of costs. With the exception of alterations to the road layout and the balustrade, the design and appearance of the current bridge has remained almost unchanged since 1907. The bridge today is an important part of London's road system and carries the A202 road and cycles Superhighway 5 across the Thames. The Palace of Westminster serves as the meeting place for both the House of Commons and the House of Lords, the two houses of the Parliament of the United Kingdom. Informally known as the Houses of Parliament after its occupants, the palace lies on the north bank of the River Thames in the city of Westminster, in central London, England. Its name, which derives from the neighbouring Westminster Abbey, may refer to several historic structures, but most often, the Old Palace, a medieval building complex largely destroyed by fire in 1834, or its replacement, the New Palace that stands today. The palace is owned by the monarch in right of the crown and, for ceremonial purposes, retains its original status as a royal residence. Committees appointed by both houses manage the building and report to the Speaker of the House of Commons and to the Lord Speaker. The first royal palace constructed on the site dated from the 11th century, and Westminster became the primary residence of the Kings of England until fire destroyed the royal apartments in 1512. The remainder of Westminster continued to serve as the home of the Parliament of England, which had met there since the 13th century, and also as the seat of the Royal Courts of Justice, based in and around Westminster Hall. In 1834 an even greater fire ravaged the heavily rebuilt Houses of Parliament, and the only significant medieval structures to survive were Westminster Hall, the cloisters of St. Stephen's, the Chapel of St. Mary Undercroft, and the Jewel Tower. In the subsequent competition for the reconstruction of the palace, the architect Charles Barry won with a design for new buildings in the Gothic Revival style, specifically inspired by the English Perpendicular Gothic style of the 14th–16th centuries. The remains of the old palace were incorporated into its much larger replacement, which contains over 1,100 rooms organized symmetrically around two series of courtyards, and which has a floor area of 112,476 square meters. Part of the new palace's area of 3.24 hectares was reclaimed from the River Thames, which is the setting of its nearly 300-meter-long facade, called the riverfront. Augustus Pugin, a leading authority on Gothic architecture and style, assisted Barry and designed the interior of the palace. Construction started in 1840 and lasted for 30 years, suffering great delays and cost overruns, as well as the death of both leading architects. Works for the interior decoration continued intermittently well into the 20th century. Major conservation work has taken place since then to reverse the effects of London's air pollution, and extensive repairs followed the Second World War, including the reconstruction of the Commons Chamber following its bombing in 1941. The palace is one of the centres of political life in the United Kingdom. Westminster has become a metonym for the UK Parliament and the British government, and the Westminster system of government commemorates the name of the palace. The Elizabeth Tower, in particular, often referred to by the name of its main bell, Big Ben, has become an iconic landmark of London and of the United Kingdom in general, one of the most popular tourist attractions in the city, and an emblem of parliamentary democracy. Tsar Nicholas I of Russia called the new palace a dream in stone. The Palace of Westminster has been a Grade I listed building since 1970 and part of a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1987.
Now this thing just skipped over a bunch of places and went right to Westminster, which is fine. This model is fantastic. So right next to it, then we have, that's Big Ben. Westminster Abbey. That is Westminster Abbey right behind it. Right behind that, St. James Park.
St James's Park is a 23-hectare park in the city of Westminster, central London. It is at the southernmost tip of the St James's area, which was named after a leper hospital dedicated to St James the Less. It is the most
This building is awesome.
continuous chain of parks that includes Green Park, Hyde Park, and Kensington Gardens. The park is bounded by Buckingham Palace to the west, the Mall to the north, Horse Guards to the east, and Birdcage Walk to the south. It meets Green Park at Queen's Gardens with the Victoria Memorial at its centre, opposite the entrance to Buckingham Palace. St James's Palace is on the opposite side of the mall. The closest London Underground stations are St James's Park, Green Park, Victoria, and Westminster. The park is Grade I listed on the Register of Historic Parks and Gardens. The park has a small lake, St James's Park Lake, with 2 islands, West Island and Duck Island, the latter named for the lake's collection of waterfowl. A resident colony of pelicans has been a feature of the park since a Russian ambassador donated them to Charles II in 1664. While most of the bird's wings are clipped, there is a pelican who can be seen flying to the London Zoo in hopes of another meal. The blue bridge across the lake affords a tree-framed view west towards Buckingham Palace. Looking east, the view includes the Swire Fountain to the north of Duck Island and, past the lake, the grounds of Horse Guards Parade, with Horse Guards, the Old War Office and Whitehall Court behind. To the south of Duck Island is the Tiffany Fountain on Pelican Rock, and past the lake is the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, with the London Eye, the Shell Tower, and the Shard behind. The park has a children's playground including a large sandpit.
This is definitely nicer. It doesn't have the tour points on it, but I mean, I was trying to figure out what this structure was underneath us. That's just so magnificent to look at. The Churchill Museum and Cabinet War Rooms. Department of Digital Culture, Media and Sport, HM Revenue and Customs. And that's right below us. Just gaining too much dang altitude. You're hard to control. This place down here, well, I can't see it, right over the top of it. But lovely. I mean, wow, how majestic. Same with this building over here with the dome on it. No idea what it is. It's not listed as a tour, but on the map, it's saying that place is Queen Elizabeth Conference Center, potentially. Supreme Court. Let's get right over the top of it and see what the map says. Oh, shoot. That building is that car is driving up and down the side of that building. All right, so it says Methodist Central Hall. Look at this guy. So that's Hyde Park. So St. James Park. Buckingham Palace. This is the, yes. All right. Pardon. So when Queen Elizabeth died, I believe this is the causeway, the Grand Causeway that I think they I want to say they staged even over here. I don't know what these places are, but I remember seeing everything taking place, it seemed, along this route.
Waterloo Bridge is a road and foot traffic bridge crossing the River Thames in London, between Blackfriars Bridge and Hungerford Bridge. Its name commemorates the victory of the British, Dutch and Prussians at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. Thanks to its location at a strategic bend in the river, the views from the bridge are widely held to be the finest from any spot in London at ground level. The first bridge on the site was designed in 1807-10 by John Rennie for the Strand Bridge of Life and opened in 1817 as a toll bridge. The granite...
Oh, crap.
Waterloo Bridge is a road and foot traffic bridge crossing the River Thames in London, between Blackfriars Bridge and Hungerford Bridge. Its name commemorates the victory of the British, Dutch and Prussians at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. Thanks to its location at a strategic bend in the river, the views from the bridge are widely held to be the finest from any spot in London at ground level. The first bridge on the site was designed in 1807-10 by John Rennie for the Strand Bridge of Life and opened in 1817 as a toll bridge. The granite bridge had 9 arches, each of 120 feet span. Buckingham Palace is the London residence and administrative headquarters of the monarch of the United Kingdom. Located in the city of Westminster, the palace is often at the centre of state occasions and royal hospitality. It has been a focal point for the British people at times of national rejoicing and mourning. Originally known as Buckingham House, the building at the core of today's palace was a large townhouse built for the Duke of Buckingham in 1703 on a site that had been in private ownership for at least 150 years. It was acquired by King George III in 1761 as a private residence for Queen Charlotte and became known as the Queen's House. During the 19th century it was enlarged, principally by architects John Nash and Edward Blore, who constructed 3 wings around a central courtyard. Buckingham Palace became the London residence of the British monarch on the accession of Queen Victoria in 1837. The last major structural additions were made in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, including the east front, which contains the well-known balcony on which the royal family traditionally congregates to greet crowds. A German bomb destroyed the palace chapel during World War II. The Queen's Gallery was built on the site and opened to the public in 1962 to exhibit works of art from the royal collection. The original early 19th century interior designs, many of which survive, include widespread use of brightly coloured scagliola and blue and pink lapis, on the advice of Sir Charles Long. King Edward VII oversaw a partial redecoration in a Belle Epoque cream and gold colour scheme. Many smaller reception rooms are furnished in the Chinese Regency style, with furniture and fittings brought from the Royal Pavilion at Brighton and from Carlton House. The palace has 775 rooms, and the garden is the largest
My lord.
in London. The state rooms, used for official and state entertaining, are open to the public each year for most of August and September and on some days in winter and spring.
775 rooms. You know, in the past, when you think about royal entourages, yeah, I suppose. My gosh. Okay. Man, everything is, well, a lot of the buildings look like crap, but then, you know, a lot of them just look so amazing. Everything here looks so amazing. You know, all the architecture just so beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Hyde Park is now over here. We get logged out. What the heck happened? I see, we're just hidden. Okay, so just to our right from here. That over there. Helicopters are a trip. You push forward, you think you'd go down. You actually speed up and you end up going up. You got to drop your throttle for collective, because they're bound with this thing. It's a trip. Should have probably done this in the F-35.
The Serpentine, also known as the Serpentine River, is a 40-acre recreational lake in Hyde Park, London, England, created in 1730 at the behest of Queen Caroline. Although it is common to refer to the entire body of water as the Serpentine, strictly the name refers only to the eastern half of the lake. Serpentine Bridge, which marks the boundary between Hyde Park and Kensington Gardens, also marks the Serpentine's western boundary. The long and narrow western half of the lake is known as the Long Water. The Serpentine takes its name from its snake-like, curving shape, although it only has one bend. Originally fed by the River Westbourne and Tyburn Brook in the 1730s, the lake's water was then pumped from the Thames in the 1830s. The water is now pumped from 3 boreholes within Hyde Park, the most recent being installed in May 2012 as part of the 2011 to 2012 restoration of the lake. The Serpentine provided a focal point for the Great Exhibition of 1851, and more recently was a venue for the men's and women's triathlon and marathon swimming events in the London 2012 Olympics. Since 1864, the Serpentine Swimming Club has organised a 100-yard race every Christmas morning. In 1913, the Peter Pan Cup was inaugurated for this race by J.M. Barrie, the creator of the fictional character Peter Pan. There are many recreational facilities around the Serpentine, as well as boating on the lake itself. In 1860, the Serpentine was to be modified into a skating pond with formal edges. This scheme was not implemented. Among the landmarks near the lake is the Diana, Princess of Wales Memorial Fountain.
That's what I'm trying to find. I'm gonna drag if I can't keep this thing on top. The Peter Pan statue. So it's behind us. Almighty.
Kensington Palace is a royal residence set in Kensington Gardens, in the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea in London, England. It has been a residence of the British royal family since the 17th century, and is currently the official London residence of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester, the Duke and Duchess of Kent, and Prince and Princess Michael of Kent. Today, the staterooms are open to the public and managed by the independent charity Historic Royal Palaces, a non-profit organisation that does not receive public funds. The offices and private accommodation areas of the palace remain the responsibility of the royal household and are maintained by the Royal Household Property Section. The palace also displays many paintings and other objects from the royal collection.
And that one triggered before Diana's did. It says it's right here. We're on it, but it's not triggering. I don't know what the hell's up with Bushtalk. Fidelity on it.
The Diana, Princess of Wales Memorial Fountain is a memorial in London dedicated to Diana, Princess of Wales, who died in a car crash in 1997. It was designed to express Diana's spirit
I don't see it.
Children. The fountain is located in the southwest corner of Hyde Park, just south of the Serpentine Lake and east of the Serpentine Gallery. Its cornerstone was laid in September 2003 and it was officially opened on the 6th of July 2004 by Queen Elizabeth II. Also present were Diana's younger brother Charles Spencer, her ex-husband Prince Charles, her sons Prince William and Prince Harry, her ex-father-in-law Prince Philip, and her two sisters Lady Jane Fellows and Lady Sarah McCorquodale. The opening ceremony brought the Windsors and the Spencers together for the first time in 7 years.
So Kensington Palace, which it did trigger and we just heard about, is actually at the other side of the park over here. That's beautiful, whatever that is down there.
St. Sophia Cathedral is a Greek Orthodox church on Moscow Road in the Bayswater area of London. It was consecrated as the Church of the Holy Wisdom on the 5th of February 1882 by Antonios, Metropolitan of Corfu, as a focus for the prosperous Greek community that had settled in London, particularly around Paddington, Bayswater, and Notting Hill. Today, in addition to its regular Saturday and Sunday services, it hosts a Greek polyphonic choir, Byzantine music, and an associated school in which pupils discover the history and language of Greece and take Greek dancing lessons.
That should be over here. Oh, over there, that's probably that spire structure over there. Pardon me. got a tickle in my throat. The West Way. It's the highway over there. Okay. I'm gonna need something to drink. Whoa. Isn't that a trip with a helicopter? I'm pushing forward, but the more I push forward, it's like I'm climbing. It's the opposite of what you think it'd do. You know what I do want to find? Oh, well, let's keep going over here. Always come back. You folks live in an amazing city, that is no doubt. Despite being so darn congested, it still retains its beauty. I mean, it just... There's that Ferris wheel across from Westminster.
The Charles Dickens Museum is an author's house museum at 48 Doughty Street in King's Cross, in the London Borough of Camden. It occupies a typical Georgian terraced house which was Charles Dickens's home from the 25th of March 1837, a year after his marriage, to December 1839. In the 19th century, it was an exclusive residential street and had gates at either end to restrict entry, and these were manned by porters. Charles Dickens and his wife Catherine Dickens née Hogarth lived here with the eldest 3 of their 10 children, with the older 2 of Dickens's daughters, Mary Dickens and Kate Macready Dickens, being born in the house. A new addition to the household was Dickens's younger brother Frederick. Also, Catherine's 17-year-old sister Mary moved with them from Furnivall's Inn to offer support to her married sister and brother. It was not unusual for a woman's unwed sister to live with and help a newly married couple. Dickens became very attached to Mary, and she died in his arms after a brief illness in 1837. She inspired characters in many of his books, and her death is fictionalized as the death of Little Nell. Dickens had a 3-year lease at £80 a year on the property. He would remain here until 1839, when he moved to Devonshire Terrace. He upscaled to grander homes as his wealth increased and his family grew. However, Doughty Street is his only surviving London house. The Millennium Bridge, officially known as the London Millennium Footbridge, is a steel suspension bridge for pedestrians crossing the River Thames in London, linking Bankside with the City of London. It is owned and maintained by Bridge House Estates, a charitable trust overseen by the City of London Corporation. Construction began in 1998, and it initially opened in June 2000. Londoners nicknamed it the Wobbly Bridge after pedestrians experienced a swaying motion on its opening day. The bridge was closed later that day and, After 2 days of limited access, it was closed again for almost 2 years so that modifications and repairs could be made to keep the bridge stable and stop the swaying motion. It reopened in February 2002. The bridge is located between Southwark Bridge and Blackfriars Railway Bridge. Its southern end is near the Globe Theatre, the Bankside Gallery, and Tate Modern, while its northern end is next to the City of London School below St Paul's Cathedral. The bridge's alignment is such that a clear view of St Paul's south facade is presented from across the river, framed by the bridge supports. The Shard, also referred to as the Shard of Glass, Shard London Bridge and formerly London Bridge Tower, is a 72-story skyscraper, designed by the Italian architect Renzo Piano, in Southwark, London, that forms part of the Shard Quarter development. Standing 309.6 metres high, the Shard is the tallest building in the United Kingdom, and the 6th tallest building in Europe. It is also the second tallest freestanding structure in the United Kingdom, after the concrete tower of the Emily Moore transmitting station. It replaced Southwark Towers, a 24-story office block built on the site in 1975. The Shard's construction began in March 2009. It was topped out on the 30th of March 2012 and inaugurated on the 5th of July 2012. Practical completion was achieved in November 2012. The tower's privately operated observation deck, The View from the Shard, was opened to the public on the 1st of February 2013. The glass-clad pyramidal tower has 72 habitable floors, with a viewing gallery and open-air observation deck on the 72nd floor, at a height of 244 meters. The Shard was developed by Seller Property Group on behalf of LBQ Limited and is jointly owned by Seller Property and the State of Qatar. The Shard is managed by Real Estate Management Limited on behalf of the owners.
It's very interesting. It's very tall. One's pretty big over there too.
(122) Leadenhall Street, also known as the Leadenhall Building, is a skyscraper in London that is 225 meters tall. It opened in July 2014 and was designed by Rogers Stirk Harbour Plus Partners. It is known informally as the Cheese Grater because of its shape similar to that of the kitchen utensil with the same name. It is one of a number of tall buildings recently completed or under construction in the City of London Financial District, including 20 Fenchurch Street, 22 Bishopsgate, and the Scalpel. The site is adjacent to the Lloyds Building, also designed by Rogers, which is the current home of the insurance market Lloyds of London. Until 2007, the Leadenhall site was occupied by a building owned by British Land and designed by Collins Melvin Ward Partnership, which was constructed in the 1960s. That building was demolished in preparation for redevelopment of the site. By December 2009, the site was cleared but construction had stalled. The project, initially delayed due to the financial crisis, was revived in October 2010 and Oxford Properties has co-developed the property in partnership with British Land. In May 2013, the co-developers announced that the building was over 51% pre-let.
Here's a place of some serious history. And there's London Bridge. This tour guide stuff is kind of pissing me off. It, like the fidelity on it's shot. It's not tight enough, and as I pass over things, it's not playing them properly. It's like the range is way too far. This low.
The Shard, also referred to
No, we already did the Shard.
Shard London Bridge and formerly London Bridge Tower, is a 72-story skyscraper designed by the Italian architect Renzo Piano in Southwark, London. That
why it's popping these damn things up on me too is
standing
piss me off.
9.6 meters high. The Shard is the tallest building in the United Kingdom and the 6th tallest building in Europe. It is also the 2nd tallest freestanding structure in the United Kingdom, after the concrete tower of the Emley Moor transmitting station. It replaced Southwark Towers, a 24-story office block built on the site in 1975. The Shard's construction began in March 2009. It was topped out on the 30th of March 2012 and inaugurated on the 5th of July 2012. Practical completion was achieved in November 2012.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, what I'm trying to talk about, what I'm getting mad about here is, you see the green range thing? It's only supposed to play like when you pass over something. But, so, you know, it's not triggering on what I want it to trigger on. My God, look at us. I had us in a hover, and now look at how high we're going. This helicopter's kind of giving me the fits, too. It is going to take forever to sightsee this place. That's fine. I can't wait. Again, I don't know that I want to get too involved right now, because in just a few weeks we're going to have Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, and I'm going to do it all over again. I've got to see the comparison between the two. And, yeah, it's going to be good. And it's going to get better and better and better and better over time. I can only imagine where we're going to be, you know, just even in another 5 years or 10 years. How they're going to be able to improve things. When they release Microsoft Flight Simulator 2028, the next one, and then the one after that, and then the one after that. Who knows if we'll be around to see that or not. Looks like an interesting place down there.
The Newfoundland is a 220-metre residential skyscraper currently under development on the Isle of Dogs, London. South Key Properties submitted a planning application to Tower Hamlets in June 2013 for the erection of a 58-story and linked 2-story building for residential use, along with some retail uses and car parking at a location bounded by Park Place, West Ferry Road, and Heron Key Road. The building was designed by architects Horden Cherry Lee and WSP Structural Engineers, and is scheduled to be open for rent in February 2021. The Citigroup Centre is a building complex in London. It houses Citigroup's EMEA headquarters and is located in Canary Wharf in the city's docklands. The centre provides 170,000 square metres of floor space across 2 merged buildings, 33 Canada Square and 25 Canada Square, and houses the bulk of Citi's UK employee base. Together, both buildings form the Citigroup Centre complex. 25 Canada Square, or Citigroup Centre 2, stands at 200 metres and, alongside HSBC Tower, is the joint 4th tallest building in the United Kingdom. Designed by Cesar Pelli and Associates, construction of the 45-storey tower, undertaken by Canary Wharf Contractors, began in 1998 and was completed in 2001, with Citigroup leasing the building from the outset. The building was bought by RBS in 2004 along with 5 Canada Square for $1.12 billion. Subsequently, on the 2nd of July 2007, CGC2 was individually sold to a joint venture between and for £1 million. Citigroup pay £46.5 million a year in rent for the tower, generating a yield of 4.6% to the owners. The east-facing side of 25 Canada Square up to level 40 is configured for use by tenants. 33 Canada Square, or Citigroup Centre 1, is the smaller of the 2 buildings in the complex, designed by Norman Foster and completed in 1999, 2 years before its neighbour. At 105 metres tall, the building is made up of 18 floors, all of which are adjoined to their equivalent floors in 25 Canada Square. The building is owned by Citigroup and was built before the completion of the Jubilee Line extension in late 1999. In addition to main entrances from both Canada Square and Upper Bank Street, Citigroup Centre is also accessible via underground walkways from Canada Place Shopping Mall and Canary Wharf London Underground Station, served by the Jubilee Line. The centre is also close to GLAS stations Canary Wharf and Heron Quays, which provide connections with the city, London City Airport and surrounding areas.
Very nice. Not as much traffic as I thought. People are waking up, though, and starting to get their flying on. So, yeah. Not the most comprehensive look at London this evening. We'll do more and more again as when 2024 comes out. I'll be doing a lot more sightseeing, so I just wanted to kind of get a little bit of practice in tonight and to have a little bit of a look around and mess with the Bushtalk audio. So we'll definitely do it again. So I think that's going to wrap it up. I think I got enough flying in, and we got a few sightseeing things in, and said we'll do it again later. So you have a fantastic night, and we will see you soon.